U.S. Secretary of Energy stopped by the Port of Brownsville yesterday. Victoria has a new deputy city manager, and the University of Texas is suing a Corpus Christi meat market. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me on this Wednesday, August 5th. Vice President J.D. Vance canceled his planned South Texas visit on Tuesday. Instead, U.S. Secretary of Energy Chris Wright stopped by the Port of Brownsville. He met with local leaders and industry partners to discuss how the energy industry is driving economic growth.
We are thrilled to see the range of large projects, the major investments in job creation going around in Brownsville, and that doesn't just happen. It needs to be made to happen.
That audio courtesy of Valley Central News. Republican congressional candidate Eric Flores said that Vance's planned appearance at the port was canceled due to schedule changes. The city of Victoria has a new deputy city manager. June Ellis brings in 3 decades of municipal experience, including executive leadership in municipal administration. He most recently served as assistant city manager in Beaumont. Ellis will oversee the City of Victoria's public safety departments, including its police and fire departments, municipal court, and human resources department. He will also support city council relations and assist the city manager in overseeing day-to-day operations. Chris 6 News reports that the University of Texas has filed a lawsuit against Corpus Christi-based Staple Street Meat Market and its owner. The lawsuit accuses the business of trademark infringement, unfair competition, and trademark dilution. The lawsuit filed on July 29th alleges the meat market uses a Longhorn logo identical to the university's registered trademark, along with a color scheme that could mislead customers to think the business is affiliated with the university. The Brownsville City Commission held a workshop Tuesday on proposed regulations that would govern future data center development within the city. The staff hopes to support economic development while protecting neighborhoods through zoning, infrastructure, and operational requirements. Commissioners also discussed a proposed 90-day moratorium on new data center projects. A proposed ordinance would allow data centers to only be permitted in heavy industrial zoning districts and would require a special use permit before construction could begin. Data centers would also be limited to 5-acre sites and maintain at least a 1-mile separation from residential neighborhoods, schools, hospitals, places of worship, and other data centers. Developers would also have to coordinate with utility providers, maintain adequate electrical and water capacity, and submit a compliant water disposal plan before moving forward with the project. The proposed regulations and potential 90-day moratorium are expected to return to the Brownsville City Commission for future consideration. And on the note of data centers, Governor Greg Abbott's moratorium has prompted calls for a special legislative session. Houston Public Media's Natalie Weber tells us more.
The governor says new data centers can't connect to the Texas power grid until the state completes an audit of these facilities. But some have questioned the governor's ability to issue this directive without legislation to back him up. Beth Garza is an energy consultant who previously served as the independent watchdog for ERCOT, which manages the Texas power grid.
Unless he's willing to call a special session, which people are asking him to do, I'm not sure how you impose the requirements that his edict seems to want to impose.
Abbott also issued a directive earlier this summer calling for state regulators to rein in data centers. I'm Natalie Weber.
Responding to critics this week, a spokesperson for Abbott's re-election campaign said the governor's actions had already prompted some data centers to make changes. No word yet on whether Abbott will call a special session. In 2024, very few Texans were shocked when Donald Trump won the state. What did surprise many was that the Republican also flipped 9 traditionally blue counties in the Rio Grande Valley, including some majority Latino counties that had voted Democratic for decades. But a recent bipartisan poll of Hispanic voters found that 20% of those who voted for Trump 2 years ago say they wouldn't do it again. The group behind that poll is Unidos US, a national nonpartisan Latino civil rights and advocacy group, and last week they brought their annual convention to Texas. The Texas Newsroom's Blaze Gainey was there and asked Latino voters how they're feeling with just 3 months until the 2026 midterm elections.
More than 1,000 people attended the 2026 Unidos U.S. Conference at the Fairmont in Austin.
We are going to ask you to use your phone for a couple activities. Get your camera ready to scan some QR codes.
In this breakout session, called Building an Economy That Delivers, about 75 people listened as Santiago Suero polled the audience.
What issue do you think Latino voters rank as their highest priority?
Attendees quickly joined in, submitting their answers.
Seeing a lot of people saying cost of living, Immigration is the second highest one.
which popped up on the screen, creating a word cloud.
Jobs is pretty high up there. The cost of living is far and away the top one that y'all are answering.
These answers are pretty similar to what Latino voters in Texas were focused on 2 years ago, before the 2024 election: high housing costs, expensive groceries, and uncertainty surrounding immigration policy. That year, exit polls showed a majority of Texas Latinos voted for President Donald Trump. But Forward.us immigration expert Andrea Flores says many Latino voters who supported him now have mixed feelings.
They're happy that the border is quiet and that some of the chaos of the Biden administration is over. But when it comes to mass deportation, what ICE is doing, what Border Patrol is doing, they oppose that.
And like in that audience poll, Flores says Latinos overall aren't feeling much better about the current state of the economy. Like Austinite Olivia Dominguez, she's in her 60s and says she came to the conference since she's had a lot of free time since losing her job.
I stopped working in January, not voluntarily.
I asked her which party is doing the best right now to court Latino voters.
Who's doing the best?
There was no easy answer.
But I know the disappointment in what's going on with immigration and our dollar. I would say maybe the Democrat might have an edge.
Texas Democrats seem to feel the same way, likely a reason why two of their most high-profile candidates this November spoke at the event's luncheon: Democratic U.S. Senate candidate James Talarico and Gina Hinojosa, who's running for governor. Hinojosa told the crowd this year Latino voters in Texas have more power than ever.
To give you a sense of our importance in this election, in 2018, the closest a Democrat came to flipping Texas in recent history, Beto O'Rourke ran against Ted Cruz, and he got 64% of the Latino vote.
Since then, Hispanics have become the state's majority, now making up more than 40% of Texas' population.
When I get 64% of the Latino vote in 2026, I win.
But getting to that number won't be easy. Democrats in Texas and nationally have their own problems to address with Latino voters. But there have been recent signs the party may be earning some votes back. Here's Andrea Flores, the lawyer and immigration expert.
In the first round of off-cycle elections, so you saw in New Jersey, in a Florida mayor's race, in Pennsylvania, you saw a swing back of Latino voters back towards Democrats in those early races. Now it's a question of, will we see that again?
What that trend means for Texas in November is still up in the air. So while the issues on voters' minds may have stayed the same, the party they trust to address them might be changing. I'm Blaze Gainey in Austin.
In state news, Governor Abbott wants lawmakers to open areas served by municipally owned utilities to competing electricity providers. Speaking in San Antonio on Tuesday, Abbott said that more than 100,000 CPS Energy customers live outside the city, but still help fund its budget through their utility bills. He called that taxation through electricity prices without representation and says lawmakers should now change the law.
So we've tried it before and have not gotten enough votes to get it done. This is legislation that's been brought up before. It's time that we get it across the finish line.
During the 2023 legislative session, Republican State Senator Charles Schwertner proposed restrictions on municipally owned utilities like CPS and Austin Energy. CPS Energy says its public model has consistently produced some of the lowest combined electric and gas rates in Texas, with its returns benefiting customers and the community rather than private investors. Wildfires are a concerning issue right now across the nation, with 50 uncontained fires burning across Washington and Oregon. Here in Texas, August is traditionally a hot, dry month, which can lead to high fire danger. KTTZ's Charlie Moranville reports the state is finding ways to prepare for the month ahead.
112 new fires were reported nationwide on Monday, including one in Texas. The Bear Hollow Fire has burned 400 acres west of Fort Worth, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. Texas A&M Forest Service raised the current wildfire preparedness level to 2 last week, meaning there is higher fire danger observed throughout the state. Governor Abbott has asked for additional state wildfire response resources in preparation of this. Weather conditions in Texas this summer have been highly inconsistent, with the moisture from heavy rainfall burning off quickly in intense heat. Without more widespread recurring rain, the Forest Service says Texas will become more susceptible to wildfires. I'm Charlie Moranville in Lubbock.
And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.